Hey guys, today's format gonna be a little bit different. I will do some live commentary on my game. So waiting for opponent right now. Okay, and get someone. This is actually Jane Doe, which I have no idea how to play yet, but we are gonna have to figure something out. Yesterday on stream I tried to go for like 3 CCs on one factory, which didn't end well in general. Because like I felt the lack of pressure on Protoss in the mid game is pretty bad. I'm, I'm gonna try to explain everything that I do, but sometimes I might get focused and forget to talk, but we'll see how it goes. I didn't do those for a long time actually by now. So my plan for this game is actually I won't go 13cc because I don't know, I'm not sure about it on this map. I think that if Protoss goes for like proxy gate, he can still be quite fast in your base before you can react. So we're gonna do like rack CC probably, and we're gonna accept that we are a little bit behind 12 Nexus. But since this map is shaped in such way, we will be able to take our turn comfortably pretty fast anyway. So I hope that this is a good plan. I need to watch some pro games how they play. I actually didn't see a game where someone went like proxy gates versus 13cc. But I'm pretty sure you can be on time with killing those marines and stuff. So that's why I'm not that convinced that this is good approach to go 13cc. So normally I would boost this SCV to press C in the middle of the distance when he's returning, and then it bounces nicely, and then you do it. Oh, I actually did it wrongly. I misclicked. So C, and then you press here and here. And thanks to that, you mine quite fast. Okay, let me send SCV to my expo. This is my F4 by the way, F2 my main, and this is gonna be my F3. I'm gonna make the second depot because of what I said that we might get proxied, so I want to be safe. And now on 16 gas. I know that there are some proxy areas where they place their buildings here, so we're gonna have to check for that. I'm not gonna make any marine for now. Just entirely focus on making SCVs. And now we go scout. So my CCs are currently binded to 2 and 3 and my barracks is on 4. So I can nicely jump to every part of my base with only hotkeys. I don't need to drag my screen, except for situations like that, which is fine. The general idea is that the majority of actions shouldn't be you sliding the screen, so if you do that sometimes, that's still fine. So Alt key right here. Okay, actually that didn't work. I don't know why. Alt key is actually very nice to use in this situation. Usually it works. I don't know why I did wrong this time. Hey, he has a zealot, which is surprising. Maybe. Yeah, this is the thing about this map. This map is very unique in like its timings and so on. So it's hard for me to assess whether he could have this zealot with Nexus ready behind it. Oh, I actually got jump scared by this. Oh my god, that was what was that? Wow. Okay. So we didn't see anything pretty much. We're gonna go like pretty fast for facts. That's something that I like to do on Eclipse, actually. This usually works when they steal your gas. Works better than, I mean. Yeah, we don't have enough gas, but we're gonna wait for a little bit. Second add-on. We're gonna make like 3 or 5 tanks. I'm gonna decide in a moment, and then we go. Of course, keep making supplies. I mean STVs, supplies as well, by the way. So this tank is pretty important to make ASAP, right? Because we want them to be kind of synchronized, so we can attack when they are finished. One thing I'm missing right now, obviously, is any air defense or turrets in general versus these. Now I'm gonna go mines. Cut a little bit of STVs probably. And we have to go eBay as well. Okay, we're gonna go with something like that. So my idea with this attack is that he probably is gonna go very greedy, right? Siege after finishing mines. He still had enough. Hold this without any problems. Or maybe not without any problems. Keep spamming vultures. Go to his base. Those are cannons, so your vultures will always prioritize those, unfortunately. Position your vulture like that, on like I did it in his third base, so only one probe can attack the vulture at a time. Okay, the game is over, pretty much. He was handling this attack well for some time, but... Okay, I guess maybe not. It's not over because he has this cannon, which is actually providing him a lot of safety. So let's make tanks. Notice how I'm not like focusing on my base because I see opportunity to like game-ending damage, so you should focus on that. If you are not like super fast player like I'm not, then just you have to accept that you are not gonna do everything and you have to prioritize. So as you can see, it's not perfect, but it's good enough to win. And I'm gonna kill those goons as well. I have a lot of money, but like I said, it doesn't matter. All that matters is that he's probably dead already. because I focused on the attack, I focused on killing those goons and so on. So game is over for him. Yeah, my money is going crazy high, but like I said, doesn't matter. I wasn't focusing that much at the end on managing my base because I knew it is over if I just make units. Okay, let's watch the replay because he could handle that better, I'm pretty sure. So basically, Protoss on this map will, in my opinion, almost always go 12 next or proxy gate because there is, generally this is the theme on two players map. Very often Protoss can come, steal your gas, then to go 12 next, for example, but on this map, stealing the gas is not really an option because of those marines, which buy you enough time as a Terran that you will be able to get your gas if you wanted to. But on the other hand, there is no point taking your gas before the CC because you are not gonna push up the ramp. That's pretty impossible, right? So instead of that, Terran should, in my opinion, always go 13cc or 15cc on this map. 13cc is riskier, but it's much better for the reason, specifically this one, where you can, by going 13cc, you can go your gas before second depot. So your factory timing is much better. But on the other hand, the second depot is actually handy because if he was going for proxy, you have a wall. So on this map, probably 15cc is a little bit better, I think. Okay, anyway. I wanted to see this Zealot timing because I was late, right? So next time I will remember that probably my SCV should be sent earlier than that because now I cannot reach his base. So his Zealot was out like at 3:18 something, 17 maybe. I'm gonna assume that someone really good can get the Zealot out by like 3:10. So probably I have to send my SCV like basically still after the racks, something like that, before the depot is finished, before the depot is even started. So next time I'll do that. Because that's pretty important to know. I can imagine where people go like one base DT drop as well, or one base river drop, and if you are not ready, then you are screwed. So it's very important to actually scout. Okay, but in this game we couldn't do that. He actually got my SCV. I got really scared by that. I don't know what happened. Like the sound scared me. Anyway, yeah. So the forfact is pretty strong. It's not used that widely, but it's especially good on maps like Eclipse, for example, when Protoss comes, steals your gas, and then you go CC before you take your refinery. It goes super well resource-wise as well. It was pretty wonky in this case because it was different scenario. So I had my gas earlier than normally, so it didn't go that well with my mineral amount. So I couldn't afford literally everything. Like, and by everything I mean constant STV production, depot production, and unit production. Anyway, it's still pretty good. Even done like imperfectly like that. So the idea is that you go after 3 or 5 tanks. Because I didn't know anything about him in this game, I decided to go for 3 tank push. The idea with my early attacks in general in PvP is that if you go and fight, you can scout what he's doing by attacking, basically. I guess this even has some kind of a name that you do a scouting by combat, something like that. Doesn't matter that much. Anyway, the important part is that when I engage him, I will see his unit count, maybe I will reach his base, something like that, and then I can actually like figure out what he's doing. If he had a river, for example, going, he would defend with this river, meaning that I know that I immediately have to drop eBay and start making turrets in my base, but he at the same time has to defend from my push with the river, so I buy time because of that. And that's very powerful technique overall, to just go attack, see what happens. It's the hardest in PvP because your units are slower than Protoss, especially if you siege your tanks, then your units cannot move at all. And the problem with that is if you lose the fight, or if you are about to lose the fight and you know that, you cannot actually escape. Which is not the case, for example, in ZVP, where both sides can go test their opponents and come back if they see that the fight would be losing. Pretty much both Zerg and Protoss can do that. In TVZ, for example, Terran also can do that. You can go on the map, usually your Marines will trade well enough because they are strong on their own, but even if you, for example, see that they have overwhelming amount of Hydra lurkers, you can always go back because Marines are pretty fast, especially stimmed and so on. The army is pretty mobile. But in PvP, of course, it's a problem because you cannot often do it that easily, but still, at those early stages of the games, usually you can for even if you were about to lose the fight, you can zone goons out with mines and escape with tanks. Tanks are the most important units to keep alive. Vultures are kind of expendable. You can use them freely. Very often lose them when attempting to do something. Of course, never lose units for free, but an attempt to run by, it's not like, it's never a waste. You just look for your opportunities. It's kind of, you have to look at something like vulture run bys where you are not sure about whether you can make it, as Protoss flying in with shuttle and river. He's also looking for opportunities, right? Sometimes they fail, sometimes they unload on the mine. They never know really where the mines are. Sometimes they can even lose a shuttle to turret because turret is under an eBay, etc. The point is, they are trying, looking for opportunities, right? You can do that the same with vultures. Even if you lose one or two, doesn't matter. Okay, so he was actually having a lot of goons. Okay, here. Let's analyze this fight a little bit from both sides. Let me go back a little bit because this is very important. This is what I started doing because I realized at some point that my engages are very bad, and I started to analyze them, try to understand them, and actually I got much better. Also, observing other players, how they do it, is very useful. So for example, that was my first mistake already. I should never lead with tank because HP on tanks is precious, extremely precious. You should never waste it. I already created a scenario where this could lose me the game, literally, because now this tank is dying after 7 goons shot instead of 8. So I should just not lose this 19 HP. Of course, it's 19 because 20 minus 1. So lead with vultures. By the way, vultures also lose less HP from goons because they only lose 15 because the explosive damage deals 75% to medium units. Okay, so we go. And now my next step, if you go back to my FP bot, you can see that I made an error with binding my units because now I have his hotkeys and on mine. But what I did, I had those 3 vultures on one, and then I selected those vultures from my base, and I pressed 1 twice, which bring me to the void basically, and I couldn't look for a moment on my units. I think it happened around here. Okay, yeah, and this Protoss is doing very smart thing. So he's going back, I'm charging at him, and suddenly he changes the direction. So he's going back and suddenly forward. You should always expect as a Terran, this is very common trick. Many Protosses, when they are getting better, are doing that. This is because they are, when you both are going at each other, he can gain twice a distance, right? So, and he will go for a tank almost always. So he's going for the tank here. That's very good of him that he killed it basically for free. And now it's my turn kind of to act, because I can do exactly what I did there, which is go back a little bit with the tanks and lay mines under the goons. And now the idea for Terran is that you try to make him shoot vultures and mines while your tanks can do the damage. So because I lost this first tank, you can already see I kind of lost 33% of my damage, which is super bad in general, but it's still doable. Of course, this fight should be probably won by Protoss if he was super good at micro, because like 8 goons is just too many to overcome with this. But since I am already committed, I will try, because now if I go back, doing nothing, losing this tank, that's complete fail. I would like to trade a little bit at least, those vultures for goons ideally, and save the tanks. That would be my objective. Yeah, so they also glitched. I hit huge mine hit. This will very often happen, by the way. You can consider this luck, but this is consistently happening in very many games. When you have those fights, vultures, tanks versus goons, one mine or a few mines will very often hit something critical. I also have one game recently played versus Doodle on Attitude on the channel where my mines kill like 5 goons suddenly. He also tried to go out, fight me, and during that my mines just hit, like get a huge connection, and all of them died. And this could happen in this game as well. Like, he's one mine away from losing everything. But most importantly now, goons after getting one mine hit, as you can see, they have 56 HP. So they can be killed by 2 tank shots. Of course, what I am doing, I'm not aware, like, in the game about the HP of the every goon, because it's so hard to keep track on. But you just aim off with tanks and you control the vultures, and they will kind of do well on their own right now, right? So let's continue. Of course, if he goes above 2 shield, now it's gonna be 3 hits. Yeah, so like there, this happens. That sucks because you basically have to waste another shot. And he did the same trick, if you can see there, right? He was going back and suddenly moved towards me. So he gained twice the distance. I kind of anticipated that, but I was too late anyway. But HP on his goons is actually already very low, right? So every shot of my tank is very powerful right now because it's almost killing the goon. So here is the... And at this point I felt like I'm not gonna push all the way because he's gonna overcome me with numbers eventually, because I'm not making tanks right now, right? This was super lucky for me, because I'm pretty sure he wanted to defuse the mines with this goon, so he wanted to send it like forward to defuse those, losing it in the process, of course, but making way for all his other units. By the way, this observer would be very helpful for him as well to have it there, but that's what happens in the chaos. Like, you cannot do everything properly. We both already gaining like a lot of minerals. So I can kill this for free, but I was positioning this tank toward the bottom, as you could see on the VOD, because I was waiting on my siege, which is making right now. So in my head, I was already not pushing forward. I wanted to just siege there and do some damage to trade a little bit better still. But he approached me, and those mines connected like crazy. This also happens. This is not a rare scenario. If you put pressure, you put those mines, sometimes those players, even good players, will eat the mine. It happens all the time. Like, there are countless examples of very, very good players doing that. Like, for example, one that coming in my head is how Bonnet once lost the game eating a mine versus Michu, like FD, which is, this FD was about to be complete failure because Bonnet already had expansion, Michu just started CC, and Bonnet had enough goons, but he misstepped with one goons, he dragged the mine into all his goons and he lost the game. This is happening all the time at every level pretty much, so you can always not like count on it, but you have to expect that it might happen. So when I realized that, I just pushed all the way, right? Because now I know his unit count probably won't be good. He still did very good thing there, which he he tried to target the tank because then probably he can manage the vultures. Maybe he can do that. That's a possibility for him. So in this case, when he's chasing you and you have mine in between, it's very good to just shoot to the goon with your vultures, at least 4 shots, deplete the shields, and then you know that this mine is gonna finish him. All you have to do is to whack, right? And this is what I did. And you can see it on the VOD. Just played before that. I selected this goon specifically to check how much HP does he have, and I saw he has no shields, so I just comfortably walked away knowing that it will die. And now what you usually can do is to just put mines under the gates and go for the probes, and that's game over. Like the rest of the game is like most people will just win on the spot here. Yeah, so of course, if I was faster player, I would make more in my base at the same time. It's very good, especially if you have like high money and you feel like you cannot handle microing and going for more infrastructure, like adding more factories or even expo or something like that. It's very good to at least queue up STVs. So as you can see, my STVs are queued up like that. You see, I'm not sending them because it is far more important to micro my units right now and to just make STVs than send them to mining. Sending STVs to mining is not important. It's good to do it, of course. It's just added value, but it's not critical. Critical is to make STVs, and uh, like in this case, it's just critical to micro because I know by microing I'm winning the game. If I can do enough damage here and his base is completely open, so there is like super high chance that I will do much damage, then I just win the game on the spot. I don't need to even worry about my base at this point, right? Yeah, so now I had a moment, I sent those. It would be super good from me if I was able to make another like dirt CC and 2 more factories. That would be like I consider super high level. So to be able to micro there and go for all those important things in the base. Of course, I'm also missing armory. That was another point, another building I missed. So I should definitely do that. But like I said, in my head, I was already winning. So I focused super hard just on, killing those single goons and so on. And yeah, the game is over after that. Okay, I think that's it for today. If you liked the video, hit a like, subscribe, and see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.